My name is Nyambejere. I'm representing the Free Press Initiative. And similarly to Bloggers of Zambia, we are a non-for-profit organization and we work to amplify freedom of expression and press freedom in the practice of journalism. And we work towards capacity building in the various fields of freedom of expression, access to information, to a certain extent digital rights, as well as civic participation. And we are glad to be here today.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up is Mrs. Zambia. Ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. So I know most of you are much aware what we are. So I'll just repeat that. So Mr. Zambia works to promote media freedom and freedom of expression. So our mission is to promote an ecosystem that supports resilient media and freedom of expression in the face of high-paced technological advancement through research, capacity building, and advocacy in the interest of strengthening democracy, good governance, and development that leaves no one behind in Zambia. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. That was a powerful introduction. Let's go to the main man, the man why we're here, representing the Lusaka Press Club. Mr. President, maybe you can introduce yourself and say one or two words. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Edward Remagai, President for Lusaka Press Club. So basically, most of you know already Press Club existed. So this is a ribbon administration that has come to ensure that we stand with the journalists, with the media houses. I mean, it wasn't just making sense that a capital city like Lusaka doesn't have a press club. So it wasn't sitting well with us. This is a capital city that must lead. So we are here to ensure that the welfare of journalists, the capacity building programs, the recreation facilities and everything, so that we coordinate and work together. Thank you. See you. Most of the program we will get to know them as we go far.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Makai, Lusaka Press Club President there. I could see Mr. Henry Kabwe nodding in agreement there. Veteran journalist, good to have you here, Mr. Kabwe. Please kindly tell us about the Media Liaison Committee. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Henry Kawe, as introduced. I work for the Media Network on Child Rights and Development, and I think I'm, is it 4 or 5 days old as Media Liaison Committee chairperson. So the Media Liaison Committee was formed somewhere around 2010. I think there was something like that before that, but that time the government wanted to pass a law to regulate the media without the involvement of the media. So we mobilized ourselves, various organizations like MISA. That time I was chairperson of MISA. We had PAZA, ZAMWA, and other players, coming together to protest the formation, the introduction of that law by government, which we successfully did. And in fact, I remember we were right here in the main hall before this. I don't know whether this building was there at that time, but I remember us saying Apache intimidation, and I saw people from ZNBC, people from the Daily Mail, I don't know whether Monica was there, responding saying Apache, and Vice President George Konda was standing right next to me. So that's the kind of unity I am praying that we are going to revive as media. I've seen this movement where people are saying the others are old, the others are young, or these are supporting this and that. I think there's need for us to come up with a strategy to work together as one entity, to recognize ourselves as journalists and ensure that we protect our profession away from any form of intimidation or control by outside forces. Also looking into other salient areas like the way we are treated as journalists, because some of our members are trade unions, some of our members do agitate for an environment where media is appreciated. us to defend ourselves from any form of interference. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Nicely put, Mr. Kabwedea. We are glad to have you here. Last but not the least, of course, media can't be media without women. We have Madam Monica Mayuni from Women in Media. Madam.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Monica Mayuni from Women in News, actually. And this is a program that was founded by the World Association of News Publishers, WIN-IFRA. This particular program is actually aimed at promoting female journalists in the media. And then we also
gender development issues. We also empower women in the media with various programs that are meant to capacitate them. And this program in Zambia has been around since 2010. We've had quite a number of female journalists that have undergone this training program that is meant to capacitate the female journalists. And we hope to see many of you female journalists actually joining us so that you can be empowered in many areas, including gender. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'm being directed by my boss in the audience that one of our people was supposed to go on the high she's actually in the audience. And I've been told that Mama, you need to introduce yourself as well. Where did you come to?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mazi Sakara. I am the secretary for the Zambia Media Women Association, ZAMWA. It's a collective of female journalists. It's been in existence since 1983. So it's quite old. ZAMWA also falls under the media liaison.
Thank you so much. We can see that women are well represented. Now we go to members of the media, esteemed members of the media, I must mention. I would like you to introduce yourselves and tell us which media house you are representing, or which ministry, because I can see they are represented from the Ministry of Information and Media in the audience. Then we can start with the lady on the far right, like they say, ladies first.
Good morning, I'm Natasha Moore, Minister of Information and Media.
Okay.
Good morning, I'm Jack. I'm coming from CIC Press.
Yes,
Into each other. Yeah.
Good morning, my name is Madam Kasaba from ICTV.
Morning. Good morning. Francis, our friend journalist.
Good morning, Deborah Chisi Kerka.
Morning, my name is Mtumbali Rabela. I'm a correspondent of Al Jazeera in Zambia and I'm the marketing officer at Lusaka.
Yeah.
Good morning, Patricia Masubela.
Good morning, Felix Lokoso, Zanisi. Good morning, I'm Tadashi Laki from ICTV. Good morning, my name is Nishi Sakara from Thrive.
Good morning, Musa Mtoma from Zanisi.
Good morning. Morning. Alex from Wanda Project.
Good morning, my name is Bernard Michelle from Common Radio.
Good morning. My name is James Kumari from Wanda Radio.
Mwaka Nanga the Bishop Room, Falcon News.
Okay, fantastic. Now, members of the press, this is an interactive media engagement, so feel free to engage members or our invited guests at the high table. We will have a session where
we'll be able to interact with you, members of the press. So feel free to interact with our invited guests at the high table. Obviously, some of you might have heard of Bloggers Zambia, but we do have the man that is in charge of Bloggers of Zambia. The guest of honor is here. May we be outstanding. Guests of honor, we are glad that you are here with us. We quickly go into the national anthem. Okay, thank you so much. May we all be upstanding as we prepare for an opening prayer from Mr. Francis Chupata.
Thank you, comrades. Shall we pray? In the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for making us see the light of today, for we know that it is through your grace. Father God, we just want to ask you that may we commit this program in your hands. Start with us, be with us, and end with us. We also ask that may you quicken the steps of those who are coming so that they can come and be part of this program. It is in Jesus' name we pray. With thanksgiving, our and praise. Amen. Thank you.
Can we all be seated? Thank you so much, Mr. Chupalo, and thank you so much, guest of honor, for honoring my invitation and being with us this particular morning. Right up now, I'll call upon the Secretary General of the Lusaka Press Club, Mr. Robson Kunda, to come and give a few remarks. Mr. Kunda.
Thank you so much, Director of Service. The Federal Secretary, sir, would like to thank you most sincerely for finding time from your usual business to come and be with us. We do not take this opportunity for granted. We say we are grateful. Lusaka President Roy Edward Makai, as you prefer to be called, invited heads of different media bodies, the high table, members of the press. Let me just say all protocols observed. Mine is a very simple task. It's just to welcome you to this very important interaction. But let me take advantage of this opportunity to just maybe inform our guest of honor that the Lusaka Press Club is an integration of journalists from different media organizations, both the private and the public media institutions. We have, as well as the online journalists, individual journalists. Guest of honor, sir, Lusaka Press Club has been in existence for a very long time, but for the past years, in recent years, it has been very dormant. We were admiring from afar while our colleagues in towns like Kitwe, Ndola, Kawe, they were very active. They have been very active. I'm sure you are aware. While city, we were dormant. For us, some of us, we came up with the idea. We said it doesn't augur well because we're even privileged in the capital city. The payment secretary is with us. It's a stone throw away to his office where we are. Why can't we take advantage? We revive the press club so that we also help in promoting press freedom, promoting professionalism among the journalists. So in the past few months, guest of honor, sir, we have been having various interactions amongst ourselves as journalists. So what you are seeing today, sir, is just the beginning. Otherwise, as we move forward, we'll be calling you from time to time, and we are counting on your support to help us grow and become the biggest press club in the country, not only in Zambia, maybe part of the Southern Africa. We do realize, guest of honor, sir, that the media plays a very important role, as you are in any democratic dispensation. So, as journalists coming together in this manner, we'll be able to exchange different ideas on how we can grow ourselves, how we can promote journalism, how we can work together, although we are from different media organizations. With those remarks, I would like to welcome all of you to this important program, and obviously we'll continue to exchange ideas as the program goes on. Thank you so much. Thank you, Seven.
A big hand, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand. That's our Secretary General, Mr. representing the Vibe Press Club. At this point, let me invite the Secretary General himself back to the podium to welcome or call upon the Lusaka Press Club President, who will later call upon our guest of honor. SG.
Thank you so much, Director of Ceremonies. This time around, I will not waste time except I'll just proceed and invite the Lusaka Press Club President, Roy Edward Makai. President, it's your show.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Guest of honor, sir, Mr. Kawana, the Mr. Chairperson, Zambia, and the bloggers, and all the partners. I welcome you to this meet and engagement under the theme Harnessing Media for Good Governance for Collaborative Strategies of Zambia's development. Guests of honor, we would like to thank Lusaka Press Club how the government has created an environment that media are no longer hiding as they cooperate. This we owe you. We thank again that the space, how the media is operating countrywide, we are very free. No one is being harassed. There is no media house that has been closed, even though
media houses that may be poking or trying to provoke you as a government. Your level of tolerance cannot be taken for granted. We thank you. On the other hand, sir, guest of honor, may I just remind you on behalf of our colleagues in the media that we miss
that the
media we're having with the president.
He started well, where he would call for the press, they interact with him at State House there, they would ask questions, he would explain the policies, the program that he's doing, and then all of a sudden the program went. We're no longer seeing that. So maybe through you can ask that request that the media needs you, they want you back. Have I spoken your voice?
Yes.
Thank you. At this juncture, it's not my show. May I echo upon the guest of honor to deliver his speech. Guest of honor, sir.
Thank you. May be seated. Maybe before I go into my speech, allow me to say that 2025 has been a very challenging, eventful, and engageful. I think we have all seen, for example, at State House, that the president has been very engaging with various stakeholders, from issues to do with food security in the nation, issues to do with energy in the nation, issues to do with the moral fiber, and in this case I'm referring to the church. I think various stakeholders have had an opportunity to be able to meet with and engage in areas that concern them. You will also agree with me that there really, historically, has never been a time such as the one we have now, where State House really looks like an office block. It's work after work after work, and the president is every day meeting different people, groups, organizations, stakeholders from various entities and various sections of our country. So, yes, maybe we might not have had our traditional press briefings, but I think every day the president is in the media and with the media at State House doing work, and also the media has been able to cover and has been with him. And even today, whatever engagement is going on at State House, we have media presence. So I just wanted to respond, Mr. Mackay, when you say tell the president that we miss him. You may say that tell the president that we miss press briefings, dedicated. But to say you miss him is incorrect, because you are with him every day. The media is with the president every day. We see the president meeting different people and it's reported in the media. So we will deliver the message that you miss dedicated press briefings from His Excellency the President. I also want to state that it's good to see the Lusaka Press Club coming back to life. Yes, it is among us the oldest press clubs in this country. But also it is the most dormant, the most moribund, the most useless. I am picking these words very carefully because I want to provoke you. You know, I admire when I go to Livingstone and I interact with the press club in Livingstone and see the vibrancy, the activity, the press club in Kabwe, the press club in Kitwe, the press club in Dola, and I'm from Lusaka, headquarters. And I just keep admiring, so now that you give me this opportunity, I will provoke you. You are useless. Please prove me wrong. Sure that, sir, you are wrong. Lusaka can never be useless. We are the championing press club. In fact, you must even get to a point where you even host other press clubs from other districts as Lusaka, just to show how it is done. You know, press clubs are extremely important because they serve as a peer review mechanism. This is where you interact. Scribes from private media, scribes from public media, you interact at this fora and you speak to one another and you even censure one another. I'm happy that you yourselves here are saying, in as much as this government has not closed down any media house, there are those that are poking. And I was happy to hear that coming from yourselves. Of course, there's a lot of poking. There's a lot of deliberate misbehavior by some media houses. But let me reiterate that from the time we declared that this administration will not close down any media house, I have made it clear, and I want to reiterate and repeat that yes, this administration will not close down any media house. But if you misbehave, the law will be followed. And if the law stipulates that you are closed down, you will be closed down. So let me underline that for as long as you are operating within the realms of the law, you will not be harassed. You will not be, your works will not be hindered. You will conduct your work very freely in an environment that we have created, continue to create, and continue to cherish. But if you go outside the bounds of the law will visit you. And you know the president is also very clear when it comes to issues around the law. It's either you operate within the law, or if you cross the law, you are on your own. So I just wanted to re-emphasize that if tomorrow you hear that this has happened, please don't start saying, but you promise that you never do this to media houses. Please, media houses, let us restrain ourselves and operate within the confines of professionalism. Let us desist from sowing seeds of division, seeds of confusion in the country, deliberately trying to bring chaos, trying to allow a situation where other citizens feel less of citizens because of the way the media is conducting itself. So let me now read my speech. Of the Lusaka Press Club, Mr. Edward Roy Mackay. I don't know why this emphasis of using the three names. Edward Roy. Vice President, Mr. Oliver Chisenga, General Secretary Mr. Robinson Kunda, and the entire executive representative of various media bodies, and I'm seeing some here, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a privilege for me to join you at this important gathering hosted by the Lusaka Press Club. I'm almost tempted to say finally. This media breakfast engagement provides a valuable platform for dialogue, reflection, and exchange of ideas on the issues that shape the work of the media in our country. As governments, we have consistently underscored the critical role of the media in promoting democracy, accountability, and good governance. It is for this reason that the Ministry of Information and Media remains steadfast in its commitment to advancing press freedom in Zambia. I am pleased to note that the needed for the growth of our democracy. Allow me to commend the Lusaka Press Club for reviving this important club, bringing under one roof to deliberate on matters that affect their profession is exactly what is needed to strengthen unity in the media fraternity. The media is often referred to as a fourth estate, an acknowledgement of the unique role it plays in providing checks and balances within the governance system. I urge the Lusaka Press Club to continue playing a leading role in advancing a free, professional, and vibrant media landscape in Zambia. I dare repeat, I urge the Lusaka Press Club to continue playing a leading role in advancing a free, professional, and vibrant media landscape in Zambia. As you may all agree, for a long time, the Lusaka Press Club was rather quiet. This is a written speech, so even the words are carefully chosen. I already told you the actual words. As you may all agree, for a long time, the Lusaka Press Club was rather quiet. We are delighted that you have reclaimed your space and you are once again contributing meaningfully to the national discourse. As I conclude, I would like to remind you of the media's role in our democratic state. As watchdogs of society, safeguard transparency and accountability. As the nation looks towards the general elections next year, your responsibility becomes very prime. Disseminate information that will build our country, help the people to make informed decisions. With these few remarks, I once again want to express my delight to be here to witness the reviving of the mighty, great Lusaka Press Club. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
A big hand, ladies and gentlemen, for our able, dependable, reliable Permanent Secretary, Mr. Tabo Kawana. A big hand. Okay. Thank you so much for still being with us, members of the media. I was about to say thank you so much. We are back from that commercial break, and I realize this is not TV. I'm not presenting any program, however. I'm here as master of ceremony. Okay, right about now, we'll go into interactive sessions where you, the members of the press, may I emphasize that you are esteemed members of the press, and where you are going to interact with a high table. You ask questions, then they'll be able to provide answers. Like I said earlier, for those that are just joining us, that you hear of Bloggers of Zambia, but however, the man in charge of Bloggers of Zambia is right here. I call him Mr. Richard. Then we also have Mr. Zambia, we also have Zima, we also have Women in News, and of course, veteran journalist, Mr. Henry Kabwe from the Media Liaison Committee. He's also here with us. So we do have a few questions that have been prepared where we are going to ask our high table panelists. Then they will be able to provide answers. Then we'll have follow-up questions from you, members of the media. Okay, so first up is Bloggers of Zambia, Mr. Richard. So, Mr. Richard, yours is how can we follow him while blogging online?
Thank you very much. I recognize the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Kawana, who I have been interacting with, I think, at various fora, supporting media development in Zambia. And I was just thinking, when I heard that Mr. Henrika was a veteran journalist, then I'm also a veteran journalist. Yes. Mr. Kabwe worked for many years at the Monitor. He has been involved in worked myself for, I may look younger, but I've worked for Times of Zambia for 12 years. From a cab reporter as a photographer, and I think I think most of you know that I was almost like the official photographer. Decision into doing digital work. If there are 3 blog, I think most of you have been mentoring and doing all that. I think I'm the first journalist in Zambia to open a blog on Google, and that was like in 2006. I've seen, spent the 12 years actively on the front lines of journalism, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was saying that so that I respond to the question and you can trust what I'm saying, because I have to, as journalists, we can only quote people that are competent and experts in the field that they are commenting on. So based on maybe 3 or 4 generations of journalists, we found people in the newsrooms that retired, and I also want to add that I think Lauren, that's why she's looking at me like that, because I think she's telling me that you have forgotten that sometimes also you are a lecturer of journalism. So I've transitioned from the newsroom in the field to media development work, but also in the classrooms of journalism, where journalism is baked, where journalism is made. And our issues are very simple. Journalism is very simple. It has got, you know, what we call the Bible of journalism. I think the name has changed now, but we used to call it the Bible of journalism, of fact-checking, impartiality, objectivity, independence. That is what we need to get back to. To that, I think journalism will be in a good place, unlike now where journalism is between a rock and a hard place. And this is compounded by the coming of technology, where I've seen on the program on my session they have included the citizen journalism. It's a very good thing, but technology has come, just like another technology. If you look at the history of human development from the agrarian times up to now, where we are not in the computer age, we're not in the information age, we're in the age of disruption. So the power of gatekeeping, we are no longer gatekeepers as journalists. The power of gatekeeping is in the hands of citizens. The issue of trust in the media is a concept that is contested, because citizens now are able to generate their own news and share. And there's something appears, which someone said, that pertains to trust in the media, trust in journalism, that the power of information sharing is no longer in the hands of a few selfish and often citizens called journalists. Okay? So realize that citizens now have taken over because of the smart devices, because of the internet. When what is called, we learn about sport news, when things happen, what are not there in the community, the citizens are there. So they're able to photograph, they're able to film, and they put on social media, and by the time we arrive, it's already stale news. So as journalists, we need to up our game. We need to go deeper into the issues to offer analysis, okay? If it is about crime, like the sport news, a criminal has been arrested, and there are these incidences, we have to analyze the trends. Why is there crime? That is what citizens want to read from us, rather than chasing after things that are already known, things that are already out there. We can cry about meeting the president, Mr. President of the press club. We interact with the president, but the president already has a Facebook page where he's already interacting with citizens every day. Even as I'm speaking now, I think the president has already updated his Facebook page. But what we need to do is to go deep into the issues that the president is raising, to engage citizens about those issues, about his policy pronouncements, and get to see how that is connecting with the citizens. I think that is where journalism is supposed to be. And how we do that, the issue of objectivity is very important. I think the PS was trying to, he was very economical with the way he presented it. That there is a deliberate, among ourselves, the traditional media, we lie that is citizen journalists that are in misinformation and disinformation and publishing content that is causing hate speech and a lot of problem in the society. But I think we have seen that ourselves, TV stations, radio stations, ourselves are in the forefront of opening microphones and even giving citizens to come and speak things that are not truthful, things that actually are hateful to other citizens. That is not professional, that is not objective, and it is against the virtues of journalism. So we have to check ourselves, and this is a challenge on the press club that we should review ourselves and see how have we been acting as journalists. And even the things big things in the room about Blalizo and how it is impacting the media landscape. So I know this is something that we all don't like to talk about, because if we are only going to cover sources that have got Blalizo, what about citizens in the community who don't have water? What about those citizens right now? I think the FRA, the government has given money to FRA so citizens can sell their maize there. But when citizens go to sell their maize there, we have even heard stories that some people actually, some FRA officials are actually demanding for sex from women so they can get paid. Okay? So where are we as journalists? How are we covering those stories? Should those people that are having sex for maize, to sell maize, give us Blalizo so that we bring these issues to the law enforcement and to the policymakers? So let us think about our own conduct so that we can assert our role as a fourth estate, our role to bring transparency and accountability, our role to provide spaces for citizen engagement in our media platforms, so that we can provide our function as a platform for access to information about various issues in the democracy. I would like to end here so that I give the opportunity to other panelists to also respond to the questions that have been prepared. I thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Richard. Now, members of the press, I hope you are taking note so that at a later stage you will be able to ask questions. We go to the lady seated next to Mr. Richard, representing Free Press Initiative. Your question is on freedom of speech and free press. Do we have that in Zambia currently?
Thank you. The lady, I'll just reintroduce myself. I recognize the presence of the Permanent Secretary who's here with us today. Again, my name is Nyambe Jere, and I'm from the Free Press Initiative. So I'm hopeful that when questions come in, they'll be referred to Ms. Jere and not the lady. So I'd like to start with just looking at the trends that we have seen in the media industry, and from time immemorial. Initially, once upon a time, before we had multi-party democracy, I think the trends that we saw in the media were different. So we've seen a lot of evolution that has taken place. Some laws that we didn't have in place initially that I think to a certain extent didn't facilitate for proper participation of the media, didn't facilitate for press freedom in the media, didn't facilitate for freedom of expression. But we've seen these developments that have taken place from the time that we had independence up until a time now where we are able to sit here and listen to the PS, listen to the president, listen to the SG say that since the UPND
We haven't seen any media houses being closed. And these are some developments that I think if we don't recognize, we begin to take for granted. But the reason I bring this up is for us to take note of trends that have happened in the various administrations that we have had. So once upon a time, I think what was very oppressive was to see media houses being shut down, was to see cadres visiting media houses and not allowing certain people from certain political parties to speak on certain issues on radio, on TV, or intimidation and harassment. And that's what our definition for a long time was as the absence of press freedom, or the absence of freedom of expression, or the absence of recognizing this very important right to access information. So we've seen a development that has happened from that time. And now, in the PS's speech, I think we heard him clearly say, we've also heard this from the president, where he has said that if you do any wrong, you're on your own. So this is just to recognize the laws that have been put in place. And to pay a blind eye to that, I think, is something that we should not do. What we see now in the current state is that we have moved away from a form of oppression or suppression of the press, where we have seen intimidation, where we have seen threat, but we have seen new developments that have taken place. I'll start with some of the positives that we have seen, and I think these can't go without being mentioned. For a very long time, we didn't have the access to information law, for instance. And this law, for a very long time, I think I would even sound like a broken record speaking about it, but it does promote freedom of expression, it does promote access to information for the vulnerable people, for the people that are not able to receive first-hand information. For instance, even the people that Mr. Mulonga was talking about that would also need coverage, even if they may not have anything to pay to facilitate for movement of the press. So these laws ideally are supposed to make it better for people that enjoy news, for the media to carry out their works and to do what they need to do. So we've seen the enactment of the Access to Information Law. We've also seen the repeal and replacement, as well as the split of the Cybersecurity and the Cybercrimes Act. And this is also a law that I think to a certain extent interacts with us as the media. It's to what extent it will promote or suppress how we are able to exercise our press freedom as the various media institutions that we have. We have also seen that there is some work that's going on the IBA Act. I do believe that there is a bill that is currently being worked on. And now we have also seen, congratulations once again to the press club, Lusaka Press Club. So these are all developments and trends that have started to happen. But with these development and trends, we are also introduced to new trends that we may not have been aware of, because for a very long time what we are paying attention to is, has any media house been shut down? No. Has anyone been beaten because they have gone to a radio station? No. And we must not ignore this, because this is also what will be used as an indicator of whether or not we have press freedom in the country, whether or not we are able to enjoy our right to freedom of expression, our right to access to information, and being able to speak freely without being censored. So with this development that has taken place, we need to shift our focus and shift the lens that we view things with. I'll shift away from this topic just a bit, just to give us an example of some developments that have happened in this current administration. We saw the reintroduction of free education. This is from nursery all the way up to the completion of grade 12, and I'll just use this particular one for an example. So before this, we didn't see need for desks in school because there were limited numbers of spaces that were allocated. And for some, even if it was not issue of space, it was probably money that didn't allow for these pupils to be in school. So with the introduction of this policy of free education, we saw each and every person, every child being able to go into school and access this information. But something that was probably seen, but a long-term measure that needed to be put in place is desks. So you're not going to stop learning because you don't have desks. So now we have seen that CDF has come in and there are measures that are being put in place to ensure the enjoyment of this free education policy that was introduced by the current administration. So I'll bring us back to reality now. We are going back to the old trends that we would see. These we have shifted away from. But what we see now is that the current administration has taken into consideration the development, the repealing, the replacement of laws and policies that affect both positively and negatively the ability for us as people in the media or those that represent people in the media to be able to enjoy this particular right, this press freedom. And this is where the intersection point is when we look at the legal frameworks. We look at laws that have been put in place. Do these actualize press freedom? To what extent are we being affected by these laws? Or to what extent do we understand these laws? So that one day when we go to take a picture at a protected place, we know that we are doing what we are supposed to do or what we are not supposed to do, so that we don't find ourselves against the law. So when we talk about press freedom, I think we need to start taking into consideration these developments that have taken place, the various laws. As a result of these laws, to a certain extent, again, we have seen self-censorship come up. This is something that we, on the side, will joke about. But in most, for instance, let's do an exercise. A media house can post something, and on some of the comments, you will see someone say, I don't have a lawyer. We see that just in the actual sense, but behind that, what that's translated as is self-censorship. It does look like a joke, a joking comment that I don't have a lawyer, but that's because you are afraid of what you do not know. So you do not know if the law is good or to what extent it's good, and it will help you have press freedom or exercise this press freedom that you must enjoy. So now for us to be able to address some of these things, we need constant engagement with the ministries that are responsible. If it's the Cybersecurity and the Cybercrimes Act that has been introduced to try and address certain issues that may have been foreseen in other laws that are not able to address these, to what extent must the media exercise their freedoms? Because we also know that freedom of expression has its limitations. So where your rights end, the next person's begin. So to what extent have we been made familiar? To what extent are these laws favorable for us practicing journalists? Or to what extent are these laws going to be used, or to what extent do they have the probability to one day be used to suppress voices? So these trends, these developments are what I think we need to put into consideration when we talk about press freedom, when we talk about freedom of expression, or when we talk about a favorable environment. It works both positively and negatively, depending on what side of the law you are on. I would also just like to, in closing, make mention that sometimes this is something that we say so often whenever we are having capacity building interactions, is that what may be morally right may be legally wrong. So just because it's written down, you would think it's morally right because your morals tell you that this is how things should be done. But on paper, it's legally wrong. So this is where we now must come in and be able to interact with the various responsible ministries. And if we feel that certain laws, even though they are written down, they speak against the promotion of press freedom, we must be able to dialogue with the government of the day, the responsible agencies and ministries, to ensure that we have a favorable and enabling environment for us to enjoy press freedom as well as freedom of expression. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nyambe Jerry. I haven't forgotten this time around. We can all be upstanding.
Don't worry, please take your seats. I just want to make a few phone calls so that I don't need to leave early, because I'm supposed to go now, but I want to be here. So let me just call my secretary to just shuffle things around. So I'm back.
Amen. a very considerate, reliable, dependable PS there. Thank you so much, PS, for being with us this morning. We now go to Misa Zambia Media Institute in Southern Africa, represented by the chairperson, Ms. Lorraine Chisanga. And Madam, you are going to talk about safeguarding media freedom, challenges and opportunities for journalists in Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So safeguarding the media freedom in Zambia is a complex issue, as we all know. It's marked by a dynamic interplay of challenges and opportunities for journalists. Whilst the country's constitution guarantees freedom of expression and of the press, the practical reality sometimes is quite different. So let me go on the challenges of media freedom. So we have the restrictive legal framework and political pressure. Let me talk because the PS is not here. Outdated laws. So we've got these outdated laws in Zambia where we face prosecution under colonial laws, such as those related to criminal defamation, sedition, and state security. While the government has made some progress, such as the 2022 discriminalization of defamation of the president, these laws continue to be a tool for suppression of critical reporting. So let me go on our government control as well. So we know that the state media outlets, such as ZNBC, often exhibit a pro-government bias along the state-owned media outlets. So that one we can attest to. You know, some events we've done, some of the invitations we've sent to ZNBC to attend some of the events, but because of its nature, they are unable to attend. So we are still crying out for that biasness. So we see the cadre violence on the political party cadres have been known to storm radio stations. I know those ones from community radio stations, they can attest to this, particularly during elections, you know. They do disrupt some radio programs, you know, where we have heard of radio callers being harassed, you know, physically. In a lot of radio stations, we can give some examples of some of the physical attacks during the same time, you know, like this period in Eastern Province, where most of the journalists, they reported, or most of the radio stations, they reported to Misa Zambia that they've been harassed, you know. So when it comes to economical challenges, we go back to the era of COVID-19. Challenging economic conditions for media, especially private media radio stations. We saw what COVID-19 did. Most of the radio stations, most of the TV stations, especially those private-owned, they were closed. They couldn't sustain themselves because most of these people who used to support them financially, using adverts and everything, they had to close down, they had to stop programming, and those are some of the economic challenges which we are facing in Zambia. And then we can also look at the self-censorship due to the threat of legal action, physical harassment, and political pressure. Many journalists resort to self-censorship to avoid trouble, which undermines the media's watchdog role. So, you know, what is there now, the cyber laws and everything. So, you know, where you don't want to be found wanting, and then you uphold yourself. You just say, no, I've seen this word which is trending on social media, that I don't have a lawyer, need a lawyer. So that one, we are not supporting that, but it's because of what is trending now. And then we look at the access to information. A culture of secrecy within government constitutions makes it difficult for journalists to access information, particularly at the local level. This bureaucratic hinders their ability to report effectively on public interest. Our reports have continuously indicated challenges among journalists to access information. Yes, we know that there's an improvement when it comes to access of information, but we've seen the secrets within the government that, it's not everything which is being shared. Yeah, and then when it comes to the digital landscape, there's also the cyber security. I think she made mention. Please. So the digital landscape, the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act, the 2025 Cyber Security Act and Cyber Crimes Act has been criticized for giving the government control over online content and for being used to punish individuals who critically official, like online, like bloggers, the way he had said, Richard, this was said to be true under the Cyber Security and Crime Act of 2021. We have a lawyer here, she knows very well what the content of this. So when it comes to opportunities for the journalists, so audience engagement. So these opportunities for journalists, let me emphasize on opportunities for journalists. I've known a lot of journalists are complaining of not having access to information, of access to opportunities like being employed to ZNBs and everything or Zanis, but we've got a lot of opportunities when it comes to self-development. Mr. Mulonga is a very big example of one of those people who have taken advantage of opportunities as journalists. So let me even take my advantage of myself, under the mentorship of Mr. Oliver Kanene when it comes to health journalism. I took advantage of that. And I started subscribing with the International Health Institute, and now I'm a fellow for International AIDS Society based in Switzerland. So those are the opportunities which we want our journalists to avail themselves to, not just complaining that, Mr. Khan, you're not employing them. Sell yourself. You are there, you are a writer, there's this social media, you can find yourself. There are people who can mentor you on how you can find yourself. I took advantage of Mr. Kanene, Oliver Kanene. He mentored me, I took advantage of that. I know most of you, my other part of being a science journalist, what we've done, and I know Richard has taken advantage of the social media, is now one of the powerful bloggers. So these are the people you can reach out to, not continue complaining. Mr. Zambia has done a lot of capacity building. So if you have limitations in anything, reach out to institutions like Mr. Zambia for any mentorship, for any gaps, for any secondments. If you have a stronghold, like let me say health reporting, which is critical to most of the journalists. I know they don't like touching it, but that's my strength, health reporting. Reach out to me. Ask me, let me introduce you to people who can at least mentor you and become one of the renowned journalists in health reporting. I sometimes hate it when I see most of the journalists clinging to politics. There are these avenues where you can grow yourself and become something big. So you have to take opportunities of that. There's social media now. We had an engagement with Monica where our PS, Minister of Health, were talking about the use of the drugs here in Zambia. He was saying that nowadays, even the doctors, they've got social media where they can read books. Them as doctors, they used to memorize a handbook of like this. He gave an example of 1,000 pages. So everything has been simplified for us. Even finding yourself, finding your niche has been simplified for us. So being a complainant of not taking advantage of yourself, I don't embrace that, and then I see it as laziness. I don't know, PS, if you don't. I see it as laziness. So as Misa Zambia, we are there to mentor you. We've created avenues. We've continued mentoring journalists so that they see a niche in themselves and become something. As a chairperson, I'll be glad to see one of you journalists being renowned like international. Why should Tanzania, why should Uganda be always on top? And you find that there's no Zambian journalist being crowned as a renowned health reporter. Only politics. We should change our mindset. So I won't take much time. I'll hand over to Master of Ceremony.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Lorraine Chisanga. Thank you so much from Mr. Zambia there. Right about now, we'll go to Women in News, Madam Monica Mayuni Kayombo. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I think for me, I'm addressing the issue of gender balance, equal opportunities for all in the media. And what I can say is that achieving gender balance and equal opportunities for all in the media is crucial for journalists in Zambia. And this is crucial for so many reasons. I think those that have been in the media fraternity for a long time, I've seen that we have a lot of men at the apex of many media institutions in Zambia, and I think this is also universal. So as women journalists, we have a bigger role to empower ourselves, to capacitate ourselves so that we are able to compete with our male counterparts. The truth of the matter is that, yes, we have very few journalists in Zambia heading the media houses, but we should prove that we are able to deliver. What is it that we have for us to take up some of these positions? I'll talk about the history of the media fraternity in Zambia. Since independence, we've only had, I think, 2 women in Zambia that have been at the helm of the media institutions, and I'll talk about Zambia Daily Mail. We had Mary Mbewe, who was the deputy managing editor. This time around, we have Mrs. Imelda Musonda, who is also managing editor, and we also have the Zanis chief executive director, Ms. Lois Saili. So we are talking about 3 women in Zambia so far, but how many public media organizations do we have in the country? How many private media houses do we have in the country? I think Radio Phoenix also had Ms. Pemba, may her soul rest in peace. So generally, we have very few women that are heading these media houses, and it's high time we did something, and that is where Women in News come in. What is it that we are doing to help empower the female journalists so that they are able to compete with their male counterparts? We have quite a number of trainings that we do, and right now I think our world leadership, the executive is in the country. So as Women in News, we offer a number of programs to female journalists so that we can help them become leaders in various roles. And our intention is to close the gender gap. Then we also do promote inclusion, and we are also supporting career development, mentorship. We know that we have a lot of female journalists that know a lot of things, but due to lack of mentorship, they are not able to come out. And this is where we come in, because the female journalists are given different coaches to mentor them so that they are able to come out and be able to, to showcase their skills. Yeah, and in Zambia, I think it is very, very possible for us to attain gender equality if we remain consistent in what we are doing, we are able to do that. I think the women that I've mentioned so far have demonstrated that they have what it takes for them to, to deliver just like their male counterparts. I'll talk about Zanis. Previously, Zanis, which has representation throughout the country, they used to give their news to various public media houses and various private media houses. But as we speak, this time when the woman is at the helm of Zanis, we have Zanis TV, and this is very good. It only demonstrates that, women can also think outside the box. So I urge most of you journalists that are here to take advantage of women in news and be trained so that you are able to stand out. We should not just talk about gender equality. We should be able to show the people, the stakeholders, that we have what it takes for us to take up the leadership roles. In brief, that's what I can say, but if there's anybody that would like to ask more questions or to know more about women in news in Zambia, which started in 2010 to be specific, please feel free to get in touch and I can help you on how best you can be empowered as a woman so that you can not only be recognized as a Zambian journalist, you can be recognized at international fora as well. That is what we want and we are there for you. Thank you.
Okay, a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Madam Monica Mayuni Kayombo. Thank you so much for that elaborate explanation. I can see the PS is nodding to whatever each panelist is saying. PS, we appreciate you for being here and for taking time from your busy schedule just come and be with us this morning. Right about now, before I introduce our next speaker, let me acknowledge the presence of our Vice President, Mr. Oliver Tsanga. Please come through and say a few words to...
Comrade, correction, I'm Chisenga, not Chisanga.
Oh, Chisenga.
Yes.
Fantastic.
PS, we thank you so much for, again, taking time to come and be with us. I think this shows the commitment of the New Dawn government on the welfare of journalists in the country. We also like to thank the panelists who have also taken time to come and share their wealth of experience, knowledge that they've acquired over the years. I kept nodding as well, just like the PS was nodding, because I think what you are giving us this morning is something that I think the new journalists, the young ones that are coming on board need to know. And colleagues, thank you so much. This is the first of the many events that the Lusaka Press Club will be organizing. We'll be inviting various technocrats, various people to come and simply share what's happening in their organizations and how they can partner with the media to champion their cause. So once again, PS, thank you so much, and we formally welcome you to this engagement. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vice President there of the Lusaka Press Club, Mr. Oliver Chisenga. On the panelist, we do have Madam Chisanga, so that's why the mix-up came up. You know how these Bemba names are? But let's make progress. We are yet to have a presentation from Mr. Henry Kabwe. However, he excused himself. He'll be coming back. But for now, I think we can have the president of the Lusaka Press Club give his presentation. Mr. President, sir.
Thank you very much. So, in line with the theme, ours as Lusaka Press Club is the state of media in Zambia and navigating challenges as well as the opportunities. So this is one of the topics that many of you are aware, that the state of media in Zambia, for some time, it hasn't been as good as you may want or as better as we all expect. However, due to some trends, just like what my colleagues here said, there's some progress that have been made in various sectors. So as Lusaka Press Club, we are coming in to ensure that how do we navigate these challenges that our colleagues in the media fraternity are facing, such as their welfare. You know, a lot of them are complaining. You hear their complaint to say, no, they get minimum wages and so forth. And PS, we really wanted the media owners to be part of this panel so that they get to interact with their workers here, probably exchange notes in one of the two ways so that we don't hear the conflicts outside this session in regard to how they complain when they come to us. They get a little, they have no allowances, they are this. Of course, the talks from the media owners as well is that the business environment is not really that supportive and conducive to ensure that they have that abundance of resources to make sure that all the journalists are properly catered for. So these are some of the challenges that are in the media industry, and how best can this be addressed is the very reason that we are here as Lusaka Press Club to say that let's integrate, let's be together, let's be in this unity. And at Lusaka Press Club, there's this challenge that you all are aware, especially that you even go into Brarizo. You know, in my other career, which is sociology and the other health issues, sorry to say this, PS, we say that change is a process. So we have come in as Lusaka Press Club, and then we have found this problem called Brarizo. This Brarizo is something that almost everyone is aware. Almost everyone recognizes. Almost everyone respects. But is it a good thing? How do we navigate through it? How do we take it out? How do we change the narrative as a media fraternity? Because when you look at Bradizo itself, it robs the very fabric of professionalism on how someone are able to articulate issues and how they are able to output their work. And then the other issue, PS, that you have to be aware is that for a long time, the state of the media in this country has been divided on two different lines. First, and the most big one is politics, where it's always those versus those. To some extent where even certain activities, you even know that even if you invite them, they will not come. Because they consider you, no, he's from the green, he's from the orange, he's from the white, or he's from the black. So the political division, that should be a contest between politicians who are vying or wrestling to get power, has also transcended into media, where you find that journalists are really divided, that they can only cover this. Why? Because of how they're taken care of. And this now affects the very professionalism and the standards of how a media profession has to be done. So do we bring money in place of professional work? The answer is no. But what is the other way around? Because some activities we hear, kulizingati, Bradizo Fesiriko. How much? And if they know that this politician gives money, PS, there's one time that I was, I'll give you two scenarios. When Dr. Chitaro Churufya was the Minister of Health, at Minister of Health, that was during the other regime. We went from my media team that I had, which is CIC. We saw this media advisory. I had to send the team, go and do the coverage. Then they were told, if you are not on the list, don't even sit. But we wanted that content. And they were known. So I sent the other team, they were chased. Then I said, this time I'll go myself. And I went there. Why I went there? Not necessarily to get money, not necessarily because there's politics I subscribe to watch. No, I went there for information. I went there to get the facts, because the story about COVID, the story about what, you know, those are matters that the journalist wants to get. Sometimes it's not every time it's about money. And when we were there, the minister started talking, and we were live. He was told, cut. There's someone from CIC here. Locate him. Go. So that person is chased. I was chased. And we went. So, some of these are the challenges that the media faces, especially from the political side. Zambia is a political republic that we understand, where everything is politics until it's not. Politics in relationship, politics in work, politics in business.
It's very clear, because you people like to pick headlines. The next headline now will be that these are the challenges the media face. These were the problems that the media faced then in this administration. I want someone to raise their hand and say, me, I went to a function and I was told, because you are from this media house, get out. Yeah, please, I want a hand. I want a hand. I want a hand. So you see, when I declare in Kachaso, you say I'm rude. Thank you. Now,
Loja,
no,
just wait.
Let's have order. You have raised your hand.
Order. Yes.
So now tell us what happened to you.
Not on the list. I told them, no, I'm a freelance journalist. We are just away together with this colleague of mine. Ministry of Information. Shameful, very shameful.
No, that's right. No, I want us to have a conversation. No, I want us to have a conversation. So, help me to marry freelance journalists and media house not being on the list. You are from which freelance house? Because if you are a freelance journalist, it means you are not from a media house, isn't it? Does the conversation culminate into your media house not being on the list? Which media house? No, guys, no, listen. I want us to have a conversation. So I talk, you talk, so that we hear each other. So since you say you are a freelance journalist, and someone called you and said, your media house is not on the list, how can a media house of a freelance journalist be on the list? Help me reconcile.
I don't know how they take a freelancing at your Ministry of Information. Because if my media house was not there, my freelance quite alright. Because freelancers were not part of the list. So they said, no, you people are not here, so you can just leave. We left PS for the sake of respect and dignity.
Okay, I hear you. If you felt offended, I will apologize. But I'll tell you that I will stand by my officers, because some of us who claim to be freelance journalists, we don't write anything. We don't produce anything in any media anywhere. We don't belong to any media house. We are just there, freelance. Now, we communicate freelance. We communicate content that has to go to the people. So when you are a freelance journalist, what it means is that you are a professional journalist, you collect content, and when you package it, you give it to media houses. So I'll see a story on this media house done by this freelance journalist. But if, as freelance journalists, you're not producing anything, I think people will also find that then you are forming just part of the crowd. So it brings us back to the earlier conversation. Let's espouse our professionalism. Let's show our value. Let's show our work. That way, all of us will work together. So again, if you felt offended, I'll apologize, but I'll tell you that I would not discipline any of my officers, because then there is no trace when someone says they are freelance and they don't belong to a media house? How do we trace in the event of disinformation and misinformation? So endeavor to belong. Okay, my dear? Thank you. You can continue, sir.
Bring out, they need decent pay, they will need equal opportunities, they will need proper job security. So again, I'll emphasize that when you have these forums, and as Lusaka Press Club, we invite the media bodies, because these are some of this is the only platform and the only opportunity that you get to hear, you get to speak freely, you get to hear the feedback that really concerns you. A good example is how the PS has engaged. Imagine if the PS wasn't here or she wasn't there. This conversation would have never existed. So I'm re-emphasizing that when we make these forums and we invite these media bodies, it's intentional so that there is that rapport and balance of what we want to achieve. So the journalists are saying they need a decent pay. So who can answer that? It's the media owners, and they're not here. All right? The journalists are saying they need proper job security and not casualization. Because if you look at casualization, it's what actually causes the Brarizo issue to be that big. In my conclusion, as Lusaka Press Club, we are navigating all these challenges by bridging the gap and ensuring that we bring in capacity building opportunities, for instance. And first thing first, in recognizing this Master of Ceremony, just allow me just in 1 minute to say this. I'm speaking this success story from my institution called CIC, which is a very reputable media house, I'm sure you know. So in navigating these challenges, guest of honor, there was a lady that we found in Livingstone. This lady is a trained journalist who went out of employment. And she now works at a bar. And she gets 450 kwacha as a salary. She's a single mother, no husband, no anyone to take care of her. And then she's been following CIC on the page, and then she saw our bus parked there. And then she came to say, how do I join you guys and work with you? We asked her, are you a journalist? She said, yes, I did. I have a certificate, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, it's good to go. Of course, we have our own internal training, although it's not that official or anything, but for our own, it's okay to get someone started. We brought in this girl, gave her that opportunity. The 450 kwacha which she was getting to sustain herself, the child, and everything, is an old story. Today, she's the thriving reporter we have and the most reliable. Even tomorrow, if you happen to go to Livingstone, you'll find her. Her name is Helen. By doing this, we created an opportunity and an environment where even media bodies, even other stakeholders came in to help her. We have secured her scholarship next year. She's going for university. So, we have found these challenges everywhere. I have success stories, especially from the CIC point of view. A lot of people that have been empowered, others who have helped them and everything. But how have we navigated these challenges? First, understanding what causes those challenges. Because even in conflict management or resolution, you do not solve a problem without understanding the source. So, here in Lusaka, or in media, as general, as Lusaka Press Club, we are coming on board and ensure that all of you here become our members. When you become our members, we get to know you. We get to interact. Let's understand, because where I'm seated here as President of Lusaka Press Club, we are going to phase out this Brarizo, but for now, we have to flow with it. Because change is a process. It's like moving in a train. Just because you've arrived, you just can't get out, you die. So we are bringing in some programs, some capacity building programs, even some empowerment opportunities and everything. Because I really wanted to have a weight from the owners who employ the medias, because I can't speak for them, why they are not paying decent salaries and why they are not employing people on permanent and why they are not, proper job securities and everything. All right? So, Master of Ceremony, in conclusion, we are saying that as Lusaka Press Club, we have found this challenge amongst the media houses and everything, and we are creating these opportunities. For now, we'll pretend as if Bralizo is okay. We'll pretend, because we'll find it. And you guys have accepted it. We'll pretend. But in the long run, we are phasing it out with a proper and sustainable way of how a media or a journalist should operate, so that we reclaim back the profession and everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lusaka Press Club President, Mr. Roy Edward Makai. Thank you so much. I saw the Vice President standing up. Maybe you'd like to add one or two. Please come through.
Before the President concluded, what I wanted to say was that slave wages have been a thorny issue in the operations of journalists every day. The issue of Bralizo, when you talked about it, I said, well, that's a contentious issue that I think needs a day and a half to discuss. Because like the President says, we need to get to the root and find out why this Bralizo came on board. It's an issue of slave wages. So because the Lusaka Press Club knows the root and we are dealing with it, I think would want to extend that to the media owners, because that is the thing that has perpetuated Bralizo and seemingly make it sound reasonable. And right now, as he puts it, we are tight. We see the problems, the issues that our colleagues go through. You attend a function of this nature. We see the news source who invited the journalist get in his Prado, drive off. And as we were going home, you see my fellow journalists walking back home, sweating. And these are the people that are the custodians of the profession. You know, there are a few media institutions that have pool vans to carry these journalists back to their workstations, but most of them don't have. And what this causes really is this issue of wanting money before giving a service. Okay? If we are to debate it, if we go to the hospital, there's consultation by doctors. Lawyers have their own. You know, journalists don't have. Okay? If you look at a journalist today who is covering respectable people, respectable institutions, they're a sorry sight. If you walk from one particular assignment back to the station, you probably, along the way, you'd have even forgotten what the source was saying. You know, because of the hardships that they are going through. So the issue of Bralizo PS, I think is something, colleagues here, is something that I think needs an indaba. We need to discuss it. As much as we say it's bad, it needs to be discussed, it needs to be ironed out and see where the root is. And then we are going to move forward. That's what I wanted to say, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Vice President. I can see Mr. Richard would like to add a word or two. Mr. Richard.
Thank you very much. PS, you may wish to know that I was there. Look, I was there when the word Bralizo was being coined. Okay? I know the person who coined the word Bralizo. I told you I spent 12 years at Times of Zambia. I've created content for BBC, for Voice of America. PS, you remember Peter Clotty, that time when the president won the elections, when we were seeking the interview. So I've done global journalism and also local journalism. So, Mr. President, I'll speak to you and even Mr. Vice President. As journalists, we understand. I'm one of the people, it's sad that Henry has left. I'm one of the people who was speaking to Zambia. I was a member of Zambia Union of Journalists when I worked at Times of Zambia for many years. I was even in the executive. I'm a trade unionist somehow. I was a member of the Lusaka Press Club for a very long time. A fossil like Robinson Kunda would do even a fossil like Mr. Chisenga himself. I'll call them fossils so that you understand where we are coming from. For me to speak at a global journalism conference, a keynote, it's not, I have clout, I've got depth and coverage, you get the point, eh? Now, this issue of Blalizo, we must handle it the professional way. And you don't have to love me for what I'm about to say. I was one of the people with Henry Kabwe, I think Alex Njov Zuj. Let's approach the Ministry of Labor. Because the government has developed a minimum wage, a threshold for competitors, for house helpers. You may want to derogate them and call them maids and garden boys. But they have a minimum wage. Journalists don't have. These are conversations that we should approach Blalizo. We must not approach Blalizo. We must not justify Blalizo as journalists to say that we are going around hotels to get Blalizo because of poor wages and slave conditions. The global journalism movement is going to derogate us. It's embarrassing to justify our cry like that. You get the point, eh? It's not justifiable, and we must not even clap. That because my employer does not pay me enough, so I should go and start harassing sources that they should give me 200 kwacha for transport. Leave the profession of journalism and go somewhere else, because journalism has to be independent. Sources cannot pay for news. And we learn this. I'm a lecturer of journalism and I mentor people not only in Zambia here. And I cannot give you that, let's do this because media owners are not paying right. What we should do, Lusaka Press Club, Zambia Union of Journalists, Press Association of Zambia, all the press clubs in the country, come out together, let's do a paper and petition the policymakers. Mr. Kawana is here. We can go through his office, so he engages his colleague at Ministry of Labor, and they come up with a statutory instrument that must set the minimum wage for journalists. And you know what our problem is? Because the media sector is segmented at various levels. We have got the big media houses at national level, and we have got community media journalists. So what kind of minimum wage are we going to have? You get the point. But this can be done by, and the Lusaka Press Club, you see the way the sociologist, the president is speaking, I think these are things that we can make proposals to the experts, to the labor leaders. Through Zambia Union of Journalists, who are a member of the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions. Even in this room, ZCTU should have been there, so that we speak to these issues. Look, journalism, whether it is in Zambia or in the US, the standards are the same of professionalism. Whether we are poor or rich, the expectation is the same. The watchdog role should never be derogated by the economic issues. Last week you saw a journalist from Reuters in Israel who tore the press card for Reuters and left because she does not believe in what how Reuters is gathering or covering the war in the Middle East. She believes that Reuters has been biased and she cannot be part of the bias, so she left. Even us, if our employers are not giving us enough, we can leave. But what are we going to be doing to the profession? So we have to stand together and we understand what are our issues. I do media development work. If anybody here can raise their hand and just give me 3 pressing issues that the media industry is facing in Zambia, no one will do that. Let's get back to our roots. Let's come up with a paper. Let's stipulate what are our important issues and we prioritize them. You will see that even the Republican president, he will engage us because we cannot engage the PSC when we don't know what we want, when we don't know what our issues are. You get the point? Even I cannot, we have tried. But PSC, remember when we were in Livingstone for World Press Freedom Day, how many journalists were there? Other journalists were working there, but we were celebrating World Press Freedom Day. Our day to raise these issues, but journalists had abandoned. We're in Livingstone and Mr. Kawana is here. Comrade, you are there, eh? Someone was passing and we were marching. But my journalists, you get the point. So how then should we come here and start saying we take Bradizo because we don't pay? When you have not raised the issues in a way that you can engage stakeholders. I'm not going to beat about the bush. We have to be professional and we have to find a dialogue about how to raise our issues. You and I, we cover when workers that work in the Chinese factories, when the civil servants under Civil Servants Union of Zambia are striking, we go and cover them. We raise their issues to the policymakers. Why can't we do our own issues? Why should we go and get Bradizo to justify and address our issues? We are just perpetuating our poverty and we are making our profession so cheap. Lawyers look like they're very prestigious. Me, I work with the lawyers. Lawyers are among, in the law firms, some of the lawyers are among the poorest paid, but they have just kept themselves together. I can tell you that. They can wear those things, but they have labor issues there.
In conclusion, Mr. Richard.
No, but you are sitting on my freedom of expression. And I think we have to address these issues by PS. I'm speaking through the PS. And I've seen this conversation. We must not justify blood. It's just a bad thing. Everybody is complaining against us, the way we engage. So, how we must address it, it must be in a very strategic way where people will respect us. Say the media fraternity in Zambia has spoken. Those days I remember when the Post newspaper, Daily Mail, Times of Zambia, the Monitor, and the Zanis, even ZNBC to say, we are not going to give that person publicity because of their behavior towards the media, and they will be blacklisted. And some people have come to apologize, and that is when the coverage is given. As a media now, we are a scatterbrain. We can't stand together. Some of us in here, and I've suffered it personally. For example, at the airport, the president is leaving. Some people are even the ones going to say, that one works for the Post newspaper, that one works for ZNBC, the one doesn't cover like that. Then how do you expect to move as a movement to address labor issues if you are disintegrated like this? Let us be mature and let us work through these blocks like the Lusaka Press Club, the Media Liaison Committee, the media bodies ourselves, the leadership. Let us. I just wanted to provoke ourselves because the PS had set the standard. I just want to keep that standard, to annoy ourselves, to think about the critical issues. Blarizo is not a critical issue in the media. It is a poverty issue. It is an issue that has taken journalism, that has made journalism to be like a pedestrian undertaking, a very poor thing. Journalism is a fourth estate. It belongs to where the judiciary and what is up there. But we have brought it from the throne to the dust. I thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Richard from Bloggers of Zambia. Now, before I allow Madam Chisanga to come through, our Secretary General has got 1 or 2 words. SG, you may come through. No, you can come through. Okay. Please.
PS, sir, I recognize you once again. Yeah. As I stand here, I'm also the General Secretary of the powerful Zambia Union of Journalists. I have seen in the room my president there, Darrington Mwendawai. You can just raise your hand.
Let him stand.
You just stand. Yeah, that's the president for the Zambia Union of Journalists. PSR, when we talk about the issue of Blarizo, the challenge that we face, we've been, as the Zambia Union of Journalists, we've been wanting all our colleagues here to be members. We face serious resistance from the media owners because they feel that when the employees are unionized, we'll be going there to trouble them, asking for exorbitant wages. But what I would advise is that colleagues, we need to form unions. Even if you are 4 in your workplace, in fact, you start from 5, you are 5. Form a small union, we join together. We'll be able to fight for better conditions of service. And also, PS, the other thing that we have observed is that sometimes this Brarizo is given because some of the sources they don't have real news. What they do is PR. So because you want, I don't have news. You cannot buy real news. You can't pay for real news because the bank is launching an ITM, and then they invite the journalists. That's supposed to be an advert, but because they want to advertise in form of a story, so they will call for a press briefing. They launch the ATM or the new services that they have introduced. So because they know that that's not newsworth, they now entice the journalists by way of producing 100 kwachas, 200 kwachas. So those are the things that are promoting Bralizo. Otherwise, where there's real journalism, real news, Bralizo doesn't. When we go to State House, you know that there's serious information that comes from there. You are not going to ask for Bralizo because there's yeah. So the bottom line or the final word, colleagues, is that Zambian of journalists will work with you. All those that are our members, it's a must that every year we have to push for at least an increase in salary. Every year we have to push for revised conditions of service. So the call to you is that you can approach us, then we work together, we see how we can develop our conditions of service. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, SG. At this point, before that hand comes in, like I earlier mentioned, Madam Lauren Chisanga, you can give your remarks.
Okay, so there's only one burning issue when it comes to Bralizo, and it's so embarrassing when we're writing these proposals where they write to you, they comment to justify what this means. You know, refund. I know those ones who've written proposals before, then they don't understand what is transport refund. For who? For a journalist to go back where? Then you said, no, they don't have transport from the media house where they come from, so they have to move from one place to the other. And then they said, is it that bad? You know? So my core is that let's raise our standard. We've attended, I'll call on Monica, we've attended some health engagement where they are even asking, so you journalists, we've been told that you get 200 kwachas as transport refund. And then them as doctors, when they don't even quite transport refund. It's an allowance, it's 1,500. So they said, this is what we've been told that journalists get. And we said, no. So I said, at least, okay, you set your standards up. You know what we've been told that this is what you get. It's an embarrassment. So why should we be belittled to 200 when we are the custodians of information? We can destroy and build any sector here in Zambia. So it's so embarrassing, and it's something which I wouldn't promote, because even at international level they say justify, you know. Then you start writing this on the corner of the proposal, on the corner you start justifying, and then they even say, okay, we are calling for a Zoom call, we want you to explain further what this means. And then they are now said, Zambia, where does it belong? Third world, you know, all those things. So let's set our standards. I was excited to learn somebody was introducing themselves at Al Jazeera correspondent. That's what we were, side hustle. Do something to yourself. Side Al Jazeera, even when you're introducing yourselves, you've already set your standard high. You know, I'm a correspondent for SABIC. You've already set your standards high, you know. Freelancing is nice, but freelancing to where the PS has alluded to. I was even gossiping with Richard here, said, create blogs. Maybe you have to be mentored on how to come up with your self-blog. Because when you apply for these international conferences, they'll say, send us a link to where your stories go to or where you write to. You don't even have that link. So you have to create something for yourself so that you just pull a link, attach it to your document, it goes. That's how the world has become. Let's set our standards high. When I worked for Zamcom for 15 years, when I left Zamcom, I sat down. I looked at my friends who were out there. I said, I'm not going to look for a job. I'm going to talk to people, and then they're going to give me money. I contacted Mr. Cannon and others. I said, I'm writing a proposal. Proposal for what? I said, for health journalism. Are you going to do it? I said, yes. I did it. We received dollars, thousands of dollars. I was paid, I am paid in dollars. You know? So let's set our standards. So when we go out, I want to see these journalists who go in the car park, not asking for transport, no. Let's go to our cars and drive ourselves home. Let's set our standards, okay?
Thank you so much, Madam Lorraine Sanga. PS?
Yeah, Master of Ceremony, you know, I knew that there's a reason why I didn't want to go back to the office. You know, ngani zaso mafuna. But there was a hand there, maybe before I speak, we hear. No, I'm not concluding. I'm not concluding, I am contributing. Oh, I'm here with you. I'm not here to make any conclusions. I'm just contributing. Let me but at this juncture, anyway, before she speaks, at this juncture, just to guide the discussion also, I am seeing that it is heavy towards the journalists not being properly remunerated. It is true to state that there is no minimum wage for journalists. I am aware that my ministry, working with the Ministry of Labor, did attempt and call for all media stakeholders to come on board to bring submissions so that we come up with a minimum wage for journalists. The call was made out to all media associations, unions, Vazuj, you are aware. No one came. So what do you want us to do? No one came. No one showed up. So today, again, in front of your cameras, I will repeat. Come. Submit so that the Ministry of Labor can come up with a minimum wage for journalists. The only problem you have as journalists, and I always say we as journalists because I consider myself one of you, we have one big enemy. And we need to sort out that enemy. Because that enemy has brought confusion amongst us. That enemy has brought problems amongst us. So from today, we must hold together and conquer the enemy and deal with the enemy. I know where the enemy is. I can show you so that we go there together. And you know me, I always name people. So I'll name the enemy so that the enemy should know that he must stop doing this. The enemy is a journalist. You journalists are enemies of yourselves. So let's work hard, let's work together.
Okay, I think we had some hands. Allow the young lady behind you, Edith, to speak. She had her hand up. So, young lady, kindly go ahead, introduce yourself and the media house you are representing.
To remind everyone in the room that I feel we are just concentrating on one side of the coin. So as we are approaching and discussing the issue of remunerations, the wages, let us also think about the volunteers. Let us also think about those who are doing internships. I think the main reason to why we are seeing a number of journalists, asking for transport refund is not really necessarily for transport, but some of them it is for upkeep. So if at all we can come up with policies that are also going to favor those who have been doing internships, those who have been volunteering. There are people who have been volunteering for 3 years. And you can imagine somebody has been volunteering for an institution. They don't give that person anything at all. That person is supposed to go for work every day. That person is supposed to survive. That person is supposed to go out there in the field and write their stories for broadcast. But that person is not given anything at all. What do you expect this person to be like in the field? They will request for a transport refund. Necessarily, it's not going to be used for transport, but it's going to be used for refund. This is not only happening in private institutions, but even in government institutions. There are those who are volunteering for free. There are those who are doing, they write stories for free. So as we are going towards and discussing about remuneration, salaries, it's not everyone who works for somebody. It's not everyone who's on a salary. There are those who are just interns. There are those who are just volunteering. They have got the passion and they have been volunteering. So what is it that we are thinking about this? Because other people, we have got those who are working from Prime, Daily Mail, Diamond. At least those, we can talk about salaries. But what about those who have been volunteering? Those who have come up with their own blogs. We are talking about creating opportunities. People come up with opportunities, they create their own blogs, but they are downplayed. And this is the big issue that we are looking at. So even as we are conquering the issue of Blarizo and wages, let us also think about that volunteer. Let us also think about that person who has been doing interns. What is it that we are looking at? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Margaret. Let's have Edith give her submission as well. Seniors, the floor is yours.
Basically, I'm Edith. I'm a blogger. I have a lot to say, but I'll just focus on 2 things. The first thing is to the PS. Not only we are appealing. The way we are writing stories about the massive recruitments of teachers, lessons, we also need that. A lot of them here, they are employed. They are just freelancers doing this and that. So, it's not, for me, it's senseless. Always we are writing about other professionals having been employed. But when will our day come? When are we going to be considered? So they also started employing us. There's the government that's recruiting journalists. A journalist graduates, each year they're graduating, but they are made to look for their own jobs. There's nothing like government recruiting. That's our bidding from me and others. Can you take that into consideration? The other thing is, we have talked about the issue of blogging. We have been trained, and a lot of us have got blogs. But we talk of Zanis itself. Just to get an accreditation for a blogger, they want to consider it. It's a letdown. To the ministry, your ministry, we come for briefings.
Just come again.
Yes. I'm saying that in terms of blogging, we have been hit here, like we have hit. A lot of us here are bloggers. We have got our own blogging, we have got our pages. There's a lot of content, news, and everything. And you go to Zanis, they are the ones who issue the press passes. They want to consider it. They've got a privilege, public media, and everything. So for us, it doesn't make sense. Who are we? Where do we belong?
Is it a privilege or?
So they have a privilege, like something like that. You apply, they will downplay you.
Just there.
Yes.
What did she say?
I think maybe let me guide here. That it's not unless things have changed. I worked in the press office for a long time. I think colleagues like the young man Richard there, young lady Monica and friends, they know, colleagues know, that when you are applying for a press pass, you don't necessarily need to belong to an institution. Okay? What you need to have is somebody, a credible institution or a credible journalist recommending you. Okay? Because in that application, there is where you are recommended. If you say, only those in public media institutions have the privilege, then how are freelancers accredited, for example? So it's, for me, I think it's the way we approach these issues. If, for example, you are a blogger and you want to get a press pass, you go to a person that cannot be properly traced, it becomes very difficult for Zanis to issue a press pass. Because remember, when you apply for a press pass, there are security checks about you which are conducted, in case you didn't know. And I've always explained this, that there are certain times that the security agencies will say no. If they find something, and they will not even explain it. If they find something against you, or they are not too sure about who you are, or who your recommender is, they will not recommend that we issue that press pass. So sometimes it's the people we pick to recommend us. Otherwise, I do not agree, PS, that a person can be denied a press pass just because they're a blogger. No, that is not true. The serious consideration is on who recommends you. If you belong to a media institution, for example, that must be very easy. But let me even take advantage now, PS, to say this, that ourselves, I don't know why we are so lazy, I'll say this openly, to apply. If you went to Zanis now and check how many people have applied from amongst ourselves, you'll be shocked. And yet we are complaining about this. How many people have applied? Sometimes you want to apply in June when you know that you're supposed to get a press pass in January. So you find that Zanis at that point will relax. Because you are applying in the middle of the year. And yet you know that towards the end, like now, PS, next year we are having elections. I think you know what happens when you go to ECZ sometimes. They'll say, where is your press pass? And at the time that they're asking for a press pass, that's when you want to run to Zanis to go and apply for a press pass. They will not process your press pass at the time that you want to get it. So the best is start now. Apply now, find a suitable recommender, a credible institution or a credible journalist to recommend you. If there is an editor at Times of Zambia who can easily be traced, ask them to recommend you, provided when you are given that press pass, you are using it for the right purposes. PS, we have instances. This press pass, you may think it's just one of those things. You will not cover certain events, for example. You travel abroad. There are journalists, senior journalists, PS, that have been turned back at the airport. Go back, you don't have a press pass. We have to attend to those issues. Okay. So a press pass, colleagues, defines who you are. It gives you credibility. People will know, yes, I'm dealing with a credible person. But if you go to cover events, that's why when they come to the ministry, PS, sometimes it becomes tough. We ask them, where are you coming from? Which institution do you write for? It's because we're also trying to protect ourselves. Okay? So, for me, colleagues, it is not true that you cannot be given a press pass because you write for a monitor or you write for, you are a blogger. It's not true. Get a proper recommender. That way you'll be given. It's very simple.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mdenda. I'll allow 3 hands.
Sorry, let's see.
Yes.
Because we are dealing with ourselves and I want us to be very satisfied as we leave this place. That is why I brought in Mr. Mdenda. He's in my ministry and he's a seasoned journalist himself and administrator. It was deliberate because when you stand and you say Zanis does not give press cards to people who are bloggers, that is disinformation. Serious disinformation. So instead of us here sharing disinformation and the misinformation, let's ensure that we get ourselves the correct thing. Zanis accredits and issues press cards to every journalist. What is key is the timing of when you are applying. Remember that they are given every January. At the beginning of every year, they issue those. So you put in an application. What is carrying weight in your application is who has recommended you. So if you are a freelancer, you don't belong to any media house like my dear sister there, you belong now. So if you don't belong to any media house, you can ask a journalist who is an established journalist who can recommend you. And once you are recommended, your application is not just processed by Zanis alone. It is also now submitted to security institutions who run a security background check on you. So if you check out there, it means that Zanis will be given a go-ahead and they issue you with a press card. If your security check does not check out, then the security will recommend that this person cannot be given a press card. But there are no preferences. Everybody is able to get. Now, remember, like Mdenda has said, the press card defines you, it identifies you, it dignifies you. There are many occasions, especially VIP assignments, where for you to enter to cover, you must produce. And talking of opportunities, you now have a president in this country who emphasizes, even on trips abroad, that carry with you private and public media. And I think you've seen that. So imagine you are carried to go with the president to a foreign country and you arrive there, you are in the president's entourage, you are part of the press corps of the president. Those people there don't know you, they don't care. All they know is that where's your card? So you have to enter there, where's your press card? You don't have. You will not be allowed. So if you are a journalist, the number one thing that should define you is your card, your press card. So I urge you, start now. Apply, get recommended, and have a press card. We are going to elections next year. And measures will be very tough. You will fail to cover events without a press club. So Tiena Zonghan.
Okay, so before I allow Mr. Richard to come through, because he requested for 2 minutes to just make some clarity. Mr. Maingaila, I've seen you, but we have to celebrate our women. So I'll ask the lady there to stand up, introduce herself, and give her submission. I'll be coming to you, Mr. Maingaila, don't worry.
Being innovative, you use your skills and everything. Look at what Aida TV is doing. She's not employed, but she's making it. She has stood out. Be creative. Your blog, let it not be said, she said. No one will be interested in he said, she said. Be innovative. Come up with stories, interesting, human interest stories that you will be able to sell yourself. So next year, I'm sure women in news will be able to advertise. Look out for the program and be able to buy in. Get to know. They teach about mental issues. They teach about being innovative. A lot of things. Leadership, sexual harassment, everything. It's a very good program. Yeah. So stop complaining about being employed. Because now with what I've learned, I'm even thinking of leaving employment because I know that I will be able to stand on my own.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Mangaila, you are next. Can you be brief in the interest of time?
Yeah, I've already been introduced. I'm Mangaila, I write for Zambia 24. I want to speak a bit about the pluralism. There is no sane journalist who wake up in the morning, present 3 diaries idea, and go to a function to go and sit waiting for 100 questions. And allow the editor to wait for for those two stories, and quite clear that no, I couldn't get because they did give me 100 kwacha at the function where I went. Basically what I'm saying that it's not true that journalists spend most of their time waiting for pluralisms. In fact, or if anything, pluralisms have brought division in the media in Zambia. There is a division between those that are employed and those that are not employed. There is a division between those journalists working for public media institutions and those working for private media institutions. You will find that you go to a function, those from the public media institution will say, well, who invited this? We don't even know them. So let's find a better way in which this issue of pluralism can be resolved. If anything, some of us would waste my time. I prepare a diary, someone is waiting for an article which is going to fetch me a little bit more money than 100 kwacha. Then I lose that money which I should have gotten because someone delayed to give 100 kwacha. That's an insult to me as a professional, and also an insult to the editor who assigned me for that institution. Then second, it's the issue of segregation on the people that think by giving transport refund, they are going to direct and control journalists. They chase those people whom they think they cannot manage them. When they go, they create their own ideas. And all of us who are journalists have been taught that a news article can grow its own legs. Now, if somebody presents an idea or you present a statement, then it does not make sense. Then you go and it creates its own legs. Then someone said, no, I will not invite you to go to my press conference next time because what you wrote is not true, without clarifying how that article is not true. That is also another problem which is supposed to do. Basically, requesting the PS to ensure that let's have a level playing field in the media institutions or on the field. Because if journalists are able to create news for themselves, they make money, then even those institutions where they work for, they'll be able to have money and they'll pay them well. The reason why some media institutions do not pay journalists because they
Can you wind up, Mr. Mangaila?
You are sitting on my lap.
So, in the interest of time,
they are not able to perform well because they are scared. So how do we deal with this situation? Let's us try to find a better way in which this thing can be resolved. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mangaila. Okay, we have two more hands. Just be brief, one question. Sir?
Thank you very much. Yes, like it has been here and introduced that Darlington is under the Union of Journalists President. I will not dwell too much on what has already been said, but there's also another issue, because other than being a journalist, I'm also a psychologist. I'll start with my colleague, Richard, to begin from there. Since he's the first part here. Now, when you look at Richard, I may call him the father of bloggers, that title. He was in the newsroom, from newsroom to blogging. He does organize also programs where, again, we who are seated here are beneficiaries. What makes him different from any one of us? This year, PS, between 21 years practicing as a journalist, 8 years as a psychologist. In addition of that also, I'm also, in communication. Like your neighbor who is seated with you from MISA. Richard, if he decided to say, well, look, because I was a journalist, life is so hard, they treated me not okay, or I didn't get enough pay, we would not have Zambia bloggers, bloggers of Zambia today. And I was very happy when I passed by. He has been in showground as an exhibitor for a long time. So what makes Richard different from any one of us who seated here? It is the mindset. You have said that the greatest enemies, it is ourselves. I concur with you, yes. And actually, the wealthiest people, one of the wealthiest people in the world, there are only 4, yes. There is a journalist, a student, a churchgoer, and a teacher. And let me explain. I'll stick for a journalist. Just even from here, when you look at how much information we receive, there's no need for us to be poor. If any one of us here from the years that you have spent, even just one day of this conversation that we had, when you started from the time we started here and started here, and you process information in terms of money that you can generate, there will be none of us who is going to walk and say, I am poor, and even the issues of Bradis will not be an issue. But it's just the way how we think and the value that we have put on ourselves. So we are asking all of us to say, well, look, in as much as we have all these challenges, they'll never stop. Even at a PS's level, when you come closer, in this closer, it says, but PS, life young, don't you need more money, a pay rise? You'll be so shocked, he says, I need pay rise. An indication to say that all of us will still need pay rise at some point, but we have got the skills. So our appeal from the union Zuch point of view is that we are ourselves who should start, and where do we start from? That's why I picked my colleague, my friend Richard. Richard has sustained, if I'm not mistaken, over a decade now since he ventured to do this. So if Richard can do it, why should I fail to do it? So he's an inspiration, okay? So let us celebrate, let's turn this conversation to celebrate our own success, to tell our own stories, okay? Here we have got Lusaka. My colleague that side, my own who is at the end that side, we know where she come from. Today she has revolved. We are together in the newsroom. And so are the stories of so many of us. And aside end, PS, even me, I've revolved so that I don't just stop as a president. There's this book, Mental Health Matters, which it's a must for everyone. Okay, it explains because now we have seen that mental health in the newsroom are what also you can see the stress and the burnout we all go through. But how do we do that? We don't just only write and report, and where do we get from? You generate reports every day, 10,000 to the books. And I'm now today an author. And where I do not get money from a media institution, I'll get money where? From books. And so each one of us, those of you who are doing documentaries, you get even more money. So there's no excuse that the journalist should be poor. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. Yes, we have lamentations, but let's look at an opportunity. Here there's a call from MISA to say any one of us who wants, we can reach at MISA, they teach us how to write proposals. Richard here is present those of us who want to do blogs and earn a living. It's a good example. The PS is a very good example. After this, I'll approach him. Makai is also there providing an opportunity. That's why I said, let's look what? Inward. And they're offering opportunity. And to me, what our master of ceremony, we should not walk out of this room in as much as we may give us those refunds. But let's as we walk out, let's not just walk out here, but let's network. So that each one of us, as we walk out, will walk out with more than. So that next time when we will meet, next time when we will meet, I remember even last year, sorry to take your time, on our Press Freedom Day, you told us about this. But I would wish that next time when we meet President Makai, we should now start talking, says, no, from the network that I networked with Richard, at least now I can earn this now. I didn't know how to price. He had taught me. From MISA, he had taught me. From PS, it's this. From my unit, it's this. From the Master of Ceremony, I've gotten from this. To me, that's my desire. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So just to state also that I now have 10 minutes. I need to leave at 13:20. So I think you have noticed that to do with Blarizo and your conditions, I've deliberately stayed away from that because, like you have put it, you recall that on one World Press Freedom Day, I had a go at media owners on the ensuring that they pay their scribes well. There were articles, editorials about me for 3 days, even Kawana, Tawana Party 1, Tawana Party 2. Tawakawana Party 3. And most of even the people that were also now, kunyoza, kujita change, it was even journalists. So I said, azaka nimvera wakamba futi. So that's why I'm keeping away from your issues to do, but I have told you clearly that the ministry's door is open, the Ministry of Labor's door is open, it is just waiting for you. So stop talking in the streets, come and talk in the offices, let's come up with the minimum wage.
Okay, thank you so much, PS. Before the PS leaves, quickly, in brief, Meshek, I know you well, in brief, please.
Yes, I'll be quick and brief. I think I would love to speak to one of the root causes of the challenges that we're having. PS, according to my own observational research, I've tried to share my findings with my fellow journalists, senior ones, and what I've concluded is that we are in denial. So the conclusion to my observational research is that whether we like it or not, the essence of newsroom journalism is dead. It's in the mortuary. It's awaiting to be buried. The essence, get me right, the essence of newsroom journalism has gone into oblivion, whether you like it or not, whether you are in denial or not. And as such, you find that operations become a problem. For example, the essence of newspapers are dying. The essence of, for example, ZNBC News is dying. So coming up, for example, if you are to start a radio station, it won't be that profitable, it won't be viable. What I'm trying to say is that because of technology and time, we have transitioned. We are in a time of social media. So the question is how do we embrace the new technology? How do we formalize social media to ensure that it becomes structured and operational, so that maybe it can be even paying people? That's a question that we need to look at. But the truth is that mainstream media is dead, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
It has gone into oblivion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my observation.
Thank you so much, Meshek. Your point has been noted. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions, clarifications?
Now, that's Bishop has said that is actually according to his research. Okay, so it's an opinion that he holds very strongly. For me, I look at scribes, some as my own brothers, sisters, or siblings. Those that are quite young, I look at them as my own children. So I have time for everybody. And Meshek is one scribe that I have time for. He will tell you, these guys who call me midnight, walikuma police, masero. I will wake up, leave my house at midnight, drive to the police, go and get them released. Because these are my scribes. So, as we are a unit, a family, a union, we have different people with different characters. I just want to encourage us, let's not look down on each other. Yeah. He has a role to play, and there's a way he's playing his role. And he has done his research. So, do your research.
Thank you so much. Meshek, thank you so much for that submission and your thorough research. Do we have any questions before we call it a day? Okay, looks like Okay, my brother, be very brief. Wait,
all right, my name is Tembo Fuchsia from City TV. One thing I want to also to address is time. You know, we get to be invited to a lot of briefings, events, but these events honor, they don't honor time. As journalists, we need to deliver the news on time. This is why others, you keep them the whole day with only one news item, which is only yours. But at the end of the day, you only give them a 150 or 100 commercial to compensate for their time. What we are selling to you is time. So we must honor time. So that's what I'm going to emphasize on. When it's 10:30, let it begin at 10:30. If the other journalists who are coming on their way, they will find it. Even if you've got one journalist who will cover you, start. This is what you can transform us. You've been doing the right thing at the right time. Development comes with time. The Zambian time notion which we have, that's what's killing even the nation. By the end of the day, we cannot have a ministry who says we'll start at 10 hours. The same ministry starts at 11 hours. Journalists have come as early as 10 hours, knowing that from 10 hours, we will cover another event, but you give them on your event. By the end of the day, you don't even take care of them.
Okay.
So I will still emphasize.
Okay, thank you so much. This is why we have to, in the interest of time, this is where I have to stop you, because we're looking at time as well, so that we don't keep you here the whole day. So what I would do, Mr. Richard wanted to say something, and Madam Kayom wanted to say something. So what I will do right now, 2 minutes for Mr. Richard, 2 minutes for Madam Kayom before the PS leaves. Mr. Richard.
No, I think a lot of things have been said, and I think the PS now has 2 minutes to deliver, and I think also we have to leverage. But what I wanted to just emphasize is that journalism is a thankless job. There's that tag, journalism is a thankless job. We come to journalism for service. Journalism is like public service. We don't come to journalism so rich. If that is the perception, you're in a wrong profession. But we should balance between yes. No, you can mama. I'm a journalist as well.
Order, please. You
can mama.
Let's have order.
Now let me tell you.
Colleagues. Please, colleagues.
So, with the way we are conducting ourselves, we cannot go out there and market ourselves as good journalists. So, in as much as journalism is a thankless job, I mean, you can ask me, read the books of journalism, show me one country where journalists are paid well. Show me one. In the US itself, okay? If you look at different categories of labor, accountants, lawyers, journalists are not among the top 10 sectors that are well paid. That is the truth. You are a journalist, so you should know. Me, I know, because this is in the books of journalism that I teach, okay? Now, we have to balance between what I'm telling you. You can challenge this, but you see, if that is the route you are going to take, you will not be very successful in your career as a journalist. We have to know this. Journalism is not a well-paying job. Globally, in the region here in Africa and even in SADC, in Zambia, that's why we're having this conversation. It's a global conversation. Now we have to balance between the journalism is a thankless job and a minimum wage. So in other countries, the US, there is a minimum wage that journalists get. We must get to that, okay? We must get to that. Now, Mishek and I think Edith, they were talking about going online and all this and that, which is where the trends are going. The business environment, advertising is the biggest source of income for media, for radio stations, advertising. But advertising market in Zambia has shrunk because the advertisers are using their social media budgets have grown. They have stopped advertising in radio and TV and newspaper. Which money they're supposed to pay you and me as journalists? So we have to leverage the digital technology. And how do we manage the digital technology? Is to get the skills. those of you that attend our programs, the future of work generally is by having new skills to survive the next 2 to 5 years. You newscasters, journalists, there are robots that are reading news now, so those jobs are going to die off. So as journalists, we have to have new skills to survive using technology. And then we have to monetize. How do we monetize? That's why you are seeing these influencers, Mwizukaji, sorry to mention the names, Ken Dumba, our friend, and others. They have got their own ethics, but us, we have to monetize using the ethics of journalism. We are not going to use the skills that we have offline to try and survive online. We have to innovate. Go online, go on Reuters, for example. They have got all these courses that are there. You can attend for a week, for a month, and they'll even give you a certificate to get these skills. So these resources are there. Let us just find them. I've given you just an example. Go to BBC website. They've got all these courses on how to monetize, how to survive as a journalist during COVID. So you can murmur, but you see the reality is hitting us, right? And that is why we are crying.
And to do an introspection of how we've been operating as a journalist in the previous years. I want first to also talk about the issue of issuance for press passes by Zanis. I left Zambia Daily Mail last year and I've been a freelancer. Immediately I became a freelancer, I decided to apply and I was issued a press pass. And I'm also going to apply again. So I think it's just the issue of misinformation. They do issue press passes to people. And I've been covering events globally. Even very soon I'll be going as a freelancer. Because, I mean, that is within the shortest period of time, so you can do it. If others have done it, you can do it. And the other thing is that you also need to raise your own standard. Let us work on ourselves. You know, let us market ourselves. Let us show the people what we are capable of doing. And then people will start calling us. For me, most of these projects I've gotten, it's not because I went there. People looked for me because they've seen what I'm able to give. And then do not take networking for granted. We are here. Let us network and make use of our networks because your network is your net worth. I am who I am because of networks. Without the people that I network with, I wouldn't have been where I am. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for our panelists here. Okay, at this point, before we allow the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Information and Media, Mr. Tawokawana, we are describing him as a reliable, dependable permanent secretary, thanking him for the time he has been with us this year. Right about now, let me call upon the Deputy Secretary General for the Lusaka Press Club, Jesse, who's going to introduce the Vice President, who's going to give his last remarks and allow the high table to leave us. So, SG, please come through.
Good afternoon, friends, comrades. Thank you for coming. Our permanent secretary, Operator was observed. To the panelists, thank you very much for this interesting discussion. And what a good time to be a journalist and to be alive. We have heard, last time doctors were talking about entrepreneurship. Imagine a doctor is now looking for jobs. They're talking about entrepreneurship. A journalist cannot be rich, but a journalist can be comfortable. Let us have an anger to have more in our lives. Let us not just look out for allowances. Let us also go the entrepreneurship way. All of us want to be like Richard, right? He's looking nice. Madam Lorraine is looking nice, isn't it? Let us have this. We are not trees. If you find it is not working out where you are, yes, there's passion. Find something innovative. We are now becoming senior. Most of us here are senior journalists, and the young ones are coming, and those are millennials. We need to leave room for them. We cannot be the same people who are still in the journalism space. We are saturating the space. Let us evolve. Let us go to the next level. Let us have a thirst for more as journalists. Money is nice. We all want money. But we cannot wake up in the morning with only a plan for 100 kwacha. So let us have more. And then as a press club, we're going to be making more engagements. Find out more about what the bloggers are going to help us with, the proposals and everything. So as a Lusaka Press Club, we are here to make sure journalism is given the dignity, the respect, and the standard it deserves. Thank you. So at this appointed time, let me call upon our Vice President for the Lusaka Press Club, Mr. Oliver Tisanga.
PS and panelists, I think most of the things that are in my speech have been overtaken by events. And my role now is basically to thank you, sir. Not so many people sit for such a long time, engage us, and you have so many other things to do, but you chose to be here amongst your friends. And to the panelists, the people that gave us the wealth of information that basically we need. Thank you so much also for taking your time to come and be with us. And colleagues, like we said earlier, these engagements will be there from now. We have noticed that the issues that we need to tackle are many, among them the issue of Bladito. The guidance that we've gotten, and probably an endeavor should be called very soon to discuss it, because I think it's deeper than what we think, because it draws between minimum wage and being broke as a media practitioner. So let's see how the Lusaka Press Club will engage our colleagues that are here, the seasoned journalists, on how we probably are going to tackle this issue. Others have talked about entrepreneurship. Those are things that we need to look at. Just in closing, PS, the other thing that we probably want to appeal to is that I think the issues of CEC, I think should be extended also to journalists. I know we were at liberty to apply, but I think we should be given consideration. We write about it, talk about it, but I think there are very few of our colleagues that would stand up and say, well, I'm a beneficiary of this empowerment program, which is a very good initiative by your government, but I think journalists should also be looked at. The self-employment that we're talking about, I think some of these small tuntembas that we've put across, I think we need that capital injection, and it's through the CDC that we'll be able to survive, and probably will be the beginning of cutting the bud, taking out Blanizo from the profession. So once again, thank you, sir. We'll call on you. You've been a colleague that has been there from time immemorial, and you always give us your listening ear. We'll call on you very soon, and thank you so much. Colleagues, thank you for coming, and very soon we'll be putting up another engagement program that will probably share more insightful programs that the Lusaka Press Club is doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kofi, for that speech. Colleagues, may we... Oh, the PS.
Yeah, as we prepare to exit, I just want to make a passionate appeal to you as journalists. No, this is not for the record, don't worry. Especially you female journalists. Well, but if you go in service, you female journalists.
record. Sorry. Let's have some order, colleagues. Let's have some order. PS. I've received this submission from one of our scribes here saying that this is his first time in his practice of journalism and attending media briefings where he has seen a guest of honor staying from the beginning to the end of an event. Normally we see guest of honors coming through late and leaving early. But with you have stayed with us from the beginning till the end. It's very commendable, and we implore you to continue engaging with the media and to continue engaging us in your meetings. And this submission came from Mr. Francis Chuparo here. So at this point in time, we cannot be outstanding as we allow the high table to exit.
Let's see, this is the first Lusaka Press Club since it's reviving. Let's have a good photo as well.
Yes. So we can all go outside for a good photo with the PS.